Want to start tonight, rather, with Nicole Killian at the White House, Kelly O'Grady in New York. Nicole, at the briefing today, you brought up what we are hearing from the president, that he might be open in these negotiations with Republicans on Capitol Hill about the tax bill to have a higher tax rate applied to the wealthiest Americans. And you had an exchange with the press secretary about that. Tell us what you learned.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, well, obviously, we kind of want to get at what many lawmakers on Capitol Hill want to get at as they try to finalize the president's big, beautiful bill, if you will, is where he comes down on this issue of potentially increasing taxes. Obviously, it's not a politically popular point, certainly with Republicans, but something that privately the president has apparently nudged Republican leaders on as they try to craft this bill, perhaps raising the tax rate for that upper bracket of top earners. Take a listen to the exchange I had with the press secretary on that. What is it that he wants? Does he want them to increase the tax rates?
The president wants tax cuts, the largest tax cuts in history. He wants to extend his historic tax cuts from 2017, and he wants to see all of the other tax priorities that I just laid out for you included in this bill as well. As for the policy proposal you're talking about, the president has said he himself personally would not mind paying a little bit more to help the poor and the middle class and the working class in this country.
So certainly an interesting position there. I mean, this kind of comes on the heels of the president posting on Truth Social this morning that tiny tax, if you will, on the rich may be something that Republicans shouldn't do, but he's okay if they do it, is what the president said in that Truth Social post earlier today. So, again, we were just trying to see clarity around that post because, again, many Republican leaders on Capitol Hill have made clear that, yes, they want to extend the president's tax cuts, but they certainly don't want to increase taxes on individuals, even potentially the wealthy. That is something that Leader Thune reinforced in an interview earlier today. That being said, we did hear from the press secretary also kind of reiterating the president's support for things that he campaigned on in terms of no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime. So really wanting to aim some of those proposals at the middle class as well.
And Nicole, as you well know, during the Senate consideration of the budget framework, Elizabeth Warren put many amendments on the floor seeking a higher tax rate on very particular high-end tax earners, and Republicans voted against every single one of them. So very recently, they had votes in front of them, and they voted no. Doesn't sound like Senate Republicans, at least, based on that performance, will entertain this.
Well, that's exactly right. And that's why I say, you know, Leader Thune kind of reiterated that again, that he is opposed to the idea of potentially raising taxes, even on the wealthy. I would note, too, that just today you had the House Ways and Means Chairman Jason Smith here at the White House as well, speaking with the president as, again, they try to hammer out the tax portion of this bill. And we're still waiting to see if and when the committee will mark up that portion. We were expecting that may happen as soon as next week. That's at least according to GOP leadership, but still nothing has been put on the books as of yet.
Kelly O'Grady, I promise I have not forgotten about you. I never could. I'm so glad you're there. There's a lot of will they or won't they on the trade negotiating front that may or may not be the most important bit of economic news this week. It's Friday. What are you paying most attention to? What caught most your eye this week?
Well, it was really this potential 80%. And I think especially going into the weekend, I'm very curious to see what happens with these negotiations, if there is going to be any step back, because there's been a lot of momentum, it seems. Investor sentiment seems excited about the UK trade deal yesterday, the possibility of trade negotiations bringing something to the table with China. But Major, if you think about it, an 80% tariff, let's say I buy $1,000 worth of goods from China. That means I'm still going to be paying $800 on top of that to bring into the country. That's something that if you're my customer, Major, I'm likely going to be passing on to you. It's still very significant. And I was reading this study by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, and they estimated what a 60% tariff, so less than 80% tariff, and a 10% tariff on the rest of the world, which that does sound like is the baseline now, according to the president. They estimated that's going to raise inflation by 2 percentage points. So if the CPI right now is 2.4%, that would mean 4.4%. So kind of all of those things, I mean, is saying to me we're still going to have higher prices, even if we do get some trade deals.
And Kelly, what has been the effect so far at ports and even for those who are in the trucking business taking things from ports to market?
Well, imports from China have gone down significantly. I was looking at data from April 21st to April 28th, and we saw a 43% decrease from imports coming to the country. We're also seeing a decrease on exports, though, Major, and that is partially due to the retaliation from China against U.S. businesses and industries. So that's something very important to watch.
Nicole Killian and Kelly O'Grady, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.